These two steers are the same age, the same breed, and are standing in the exact same weather. Yet, by the end of the day, one of these animals will consume 5 gallons of water, while the other drinks 15. It is easy to walk past a pen, see a full water trough, and assume the entire herd is hydrated. But the volume of water sitting in a tank reveals very little about how much the cattle are actually drinking. Water drives the fermentation process inside the rumen. It serves as the primary solvent for breaking down dry feed and transporting nutrients into the bloodstream for growth. Because of these heavy biological requirements, an animal's daily intake isn't a fixed number. It is a shifting calculation dictated by 7 distinct factors. Understanding why these requirements fluctuate allows managers to maintain consistent feed intake and overall feedlot performance. The math behind water intake begins with the physical baseline of the animal. Heavier cattle have higher metabolic maintenance needs. They require more water to sustain larger frames and higher feed consumption. The production stage modifies this baseline further. Growing, finishing, and lactating cattle have increased biological demands, requiring more water to support tissue development and milk production. Once the physical baseline is established, the calculation shifts to the composition of the feed bunk. Cattle eating dry rations or diets with a high dry matter intake require significant amounts of water to facilitate digestion. When mineral supplements or salt levels increase, the animal's biological drive to drink spikes immediately to balance those levels. By contrast, cattle on high moisture pasture fulfill much of their requirement through the grassic valve. The specific diet determines the animal's need to visit the trough. While diet sets the baseline, the environment acts as the primary modifier. Air temperature is the single biggest driver of daily consumption. This chart shows how water intake rises sharply as temperatures climb. Cattle use water to regulate their internal temperature, consuming more to combat heat stress and keep their systems functioning. However, this biological need for water can be restricted by a single limiting factor: quality. If a trough is contaminated with algae or dirt, cattle will voluntarily reduce their intake. They will risk severe dehydration rather than drink from a source with a poor taste or high contamination level. The final factor is the health status of the animal, which can override every other variable in the equation. Sickness, lameness, or severe stress causes a sudden drop in drinking behavior. An animal that is unwell often stops visiting the trough long before it shows other visible symptoms. Daily water intake is a constant negotiation between the animal's internal biology, the outside temperature, and the cleanliness of its resources. Across a large feedlot operation, these individual drinking habits aggregate into a powerful diagnostic tool. The water trough provides a direct reading of the health and productivity of the entire pen. Because intake is strictly governed by these 7 factors, any sudden fluctuation in water volume is an early indicator of systemic trouble. A sudden drop often signals mechanical failures, such as a blocked pipe, a failing pump, or a trough that has become too dirty to use. This timeline shows that a drop in the blue line, representing water intake, happens before the drop in feed intake. This gap provides an early warning window, allowing managers to identify impending heat stress or disease outbreaks before they lead to major performance losses. Effective management requires checking more than just the water level. It involves inspecting the flow rate, the clarity of the water, and how the cattle behave when they approach the trough. Managers who perform these active inspections catch problems while they are still manageable. Identifying the factors that influence water intake allows for better daily decision-making, protecting both animal health and the efficiency of the feedlot.